Well, it's Saturday the 6th of November. This is episode 2142 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded and edited by me at the JMO. 10 years ago tomorrow, the 7th of November, my grandad died. I still miss him every single day. I wrote him a letter after the funeral, on the train back home to London. I wrote about how much he meant to me. I asked him questions that I'd wished I'd asked him when he was alive. I wrote about the little things, his clandestine pipe smoking, his treeball mints, his love of animals, how he would always find money on the beach. I thanked him for sitting with me every day after I came out of hospital, both times. I was, as you can imagine, a mess, writing longhand on the tiny table on the train. And when I got back to London, I placed it in an envelope, sealed it with wax, and put it in the box. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The box. A container so important that it's capitalised, full of memories and mementos. Grandad has obviously been on my mind this week. The other night I had a dream. I opened the letter and read it out loud on camera for this week's show. What a nightmare. The idea actually woke me up, wondering what on earth the dream world was trying to tell me, as I was disgusted by the whole idea. There is absolutely no way that I would ever debase myself in such a way for content. I mean, sure, there are people out there who would post shit like that online, but I'm not one of them. So it stays in the box, along with all the others that will, I hope, get tucked inside the breast pocket of my suit when the time comes so I can deliver them by hand. Anyways, moving on from that last planned act of necromancy, I want to talk about correspondence in general. I'm currently reading the collected letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. It's super interesting. The frequency that Tolkien and his family and friends wrote to one another is fascinating. I've always thought that the olden days were somewhat low information worlds, but not at all. Some letters were dashed off to catch the return of post. Others are long considered drafts with editorial notes in pencil saying that they were sent with much editing or sometimes not at all. Postcards, I guess, used to be a bit like Instagram. It wasn't until late in his life that Tolkien started making carbon copies of his correspondence, so much of the material comes from the archives of his publisher and from fans who after Tolkien's death were asked if they'd kept any of the correspondence. There's also a fantastic footnote about W.H. Auden. He apparently would burn all letters he received immediately upon reading. In fact, Auden went so far as to state that on the event of his death that a notice appear in the American and British press requesting any friends who have letters from me to burn them when they've done with them and on no account show them to anybody else. Auden strikes me as the kind of guy who in the group chat demands disappearing messages and screenshot detection is turned on. I've seen some sentiment that the vast digital archives we are generating daily means that we are producing a golden age for future historians, but I'm not so sure. Only a psychopath wades through 80,000 tweets, and who in their right minds wants to dig through 500,000 message-long WhatsApp conversation between two former lovers in the mid-2010s? 99% of everything that we add to the archive is total bollocks. We live in a world dominated by text, yet we barely ever express anything longer than 240 characters. There's a reason TLDR or I ain't reading all that, I'm happy for you though, sorry that happened, are memes. Chat conversations are bite-sized, truncated, a game of tennis rather than true dialogue. Reading Tolkien's letters, you can see an idea form in April and then develop into another letter sent in May. The form of the letter allows for exposition. There isn't much further direction for this episode beyond that observation, to be honest. Other than that, I've been thinking shallow thoughts about blogs, letters, archives, Discord, chats, group chats, and privacy. I've been thinking about life before the smartphone, as a teenager or in my early 20s, talking on the phone with people for hours. Ephemeral conversations, of which now there is no trace, no evidence, and to be honest, no lasting memory of at all. I've been thinking about why, in my opinion, some of the most intellectually fulfilling spaces I inhabit online all have disappearing messages turned on. There is nothing better than being presented with a clean slate every day. Perhaps it's a shared understanding of ephemerality that changes the vibe of the space. I am, as a rule, suspicious of nostalgia, so I don't think that writing letters will improve anything. But I have been thinking about the physicality of letters. And I've been thinking about the two big trends, the return of the real and the metaverse. So I've been thinking about starting an actual, physical, printed and posted newsletter in 2022. A zine-like thing, maybe for paid supporters £5 a month and up. I'm going to give it more thought. In the meantime, if you'd like to support my endeavours in the digital, please consider heading to www.thejmo.net/support and supporting this show from just 57p an episode. Thanks.